Welcome to another edition of CEO Unplugged. I'm Scary Jones, Melvis Duran, and The Morning Show, and I'm hanging out with another CEO, the CEO of Nutrafol, Giorgos Tsetis. Hi, how are you, man?
How are you?
Good seeing you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
I met this guy once before, and I'm like, dude, you got an amazing head of hair. First of all, what is hair health and wellness?
It's actually a new category.
Right? A new category.
Yes,
I like
yes.
that.
We have pioneered a new category. It's about the wellness of your hair and how your whole body and the wellness of your hair is playing a role with hair health.
Well, you got a beautiful head of hair, I must say.
Thank you. I'm doing my best to keep it every day.
But I hear that wasn't always the case.
Correct.
You were at a time in your life, in your 20s.
Yes, early 20s.
Where you were told that you were going to lose your hair?
I realized I was genetically predisposed. My father lost his hair in his early 20s. My mother, in her early age, started to thin as well. And I went to a dermatologist in Holland, where I'm from, and he basically told me, he did some tests, and he basically told me that I'm going to lose my hair. I'm going to have a bald spot on the back of my head by the time I'm 30. So I absolutely panicked, and I did everything in my power to keep my hair. So I took a very proactive and a preventative approach. He prescribed me finasteride, which was the drug that I was on for a very long amount of time, but unfortunately I suffered tremendously from the side effects. Are you familiar with the side effects?
I've been Googling a little bit of it.
There's a lot of
thinking about
information out there.
Sexual libido loss.
It wasn't just libido, and it's I suffered for a very long amount of time in silence.
Oh no!
Every single time I stopped using the drug, because I wasn't just suffering from decrease in libido, but also from actual
sexual dysfunction,
which you can't do anything, right? And as a young man, that's pretty devastating, as you can imagine.
And you stop taking it, and then what would happen?
Well, then my hair would fall out.
Yeah.
Right? So
never-ending cycle.
Imagine being on a drug and a prescription drug, and your doctors even say, "Well, it is what it is," right?
Right.
This is your only choice back then.
And I was going to say, at that time, this type of drug or solution, I'll say solution like this, was the only option, or right? And
well, it still is actually from an FDA. There's only 2 FDA approved prescription drugs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's finasteride, and it's
minoxidil,
same as Rogaine, right? So
yeah,
it is. It's impressive that there hasn't been any true innovation in the drug space since 1988, right? That's quite considering the size of this concern and this problem. 80 million people, 30 million to 40 million women that suffer from hair loss or hair thinning in some stage of their lives. So,
wow.
But I really hit the panic button where there was new research. I got a call from a dermatologist, a friend in LA, and she basically said this new research that is indicating that finasteride can cause permanent sexual dysfunction post discontinuation of the drug. Now, that is scary.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I hit the panic button. I said, okay, I need to do something. Right. I cannot accept the inevitable. It's hard to continue to suffer from these side effects, and if you stop using the drug, then your hair is falling out. So
enter Nutrafol into the picture, and there was a need for it.
Yeah, well, I connected with a dear friend of mine who's now my business partner, and I trusted him with his scientific background and his knowledge for nutraceuticals. Roland Peralta, he was experiencing RA, and he reverse engineered his RA with very rheumatoid arthritis with some very potent anti-inflammatory nutraceuticals, and he was doing that very effectively. And one of the side effects was his hair health was changing. So it opened up a conversation, and we as critical consumers, we started to connect some dots, diving into the scientific white papers and everything that was published, and understanding how multiple factors, including inflammation, including the stress hormone cortisol, and oxidative stress, how does that all play a role with the disruption of the hair growth cycle? Because it's not one single factor, it's not one single trigger. And it's more at play than just DNA, right? And that really is what will open up a conversation, and we suddenly started to see that there was a white space, and there was an opportunity to address something in a much more effective and a healthy way.
Sure.
And that's when we then started to connect with the dermatologist and some immunologist that was actually, he was focusing on inflammation. It was his specialty, and it allowed us to connect the dots and write a very comprehensive scientific white paper that was, and we presented to the medical community, and it was very exciting because it was perceived in a great way. It's now peer reviewed, and some of the most world-renowned dermatologists have signed off on that approach, a multifactorial approach addressing hair health with from that angle with nutraceutical ingredients that are very healthy and incredibly effective. Efficacy is not negotiable, right? And that's what we stand for as a company. But yeah, it does provide a lot of hope for millions of people out there that would like to address this in a much more integrative, holistic way that is effective.
Well, they say necessity is the mother of invention, and then
Right.
that's a saying, right? And you, with your background in engineering, said, "I think I'm going to create a new category in hair health."
It wasn't necessarily that way. It was actually never intended to build a whole business out of this.
But it was starting with your own personal motivation.
Absolutely. I think, that gave me a tremendous amount of drive, obviously. And I believe also in fate. And I owned an engineering company. And I opened up to my dear friend, Roland Peralta, who's now my business partner and a chief innovation officer. He experienced RA, rheumatoid arthritis, and he was taking some very potent anti-inflammatory botanical ingredients, nutraceuticals. And some of the side effects was that his hair health was changing, and it just opened up a conversation about, okay, there's more at play than just DNA. Clearly, addressing inflammation and addressing some of these other factors can play a role in healthy hair regrowth.
Right.
And we dove in deep into the literature, into science and papers, and before we even started to connect with all the doctors and the dermatologists and the people that are involved now.
There's science, and then there are the rumors. Rumors being the one that I knew growing up, and that's you are destined to have your mother's father's patterns in baldness or lack thereof. So meaning like my grandfather, my mother's father, whatever his hair looked like in his 60s and 70s is the way it's going to turn out for me. That's what I was told.
Right.
True, false, somewhere in the middle, and false.
Yes. Yeah, the way I describe it, and I think
you've heard of this before.
Yes,
yeah,
of course.
People talk.
But the way I describe it is we all can be genetically predisposed, but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna lose my hair and you will lose your hair as well. So the way I typically describe it is your genetic component, your genes are loading the gun and your environment is pulling the trigger, right? And what that means is it is all about how sensitive you are to that genetic predisposition. And is your environment, your stress, your inflammation, your lifestyle, your life stage, is that triggering that genetic predisposition, right? And that's a very important concept to understand. That's why you see sometimes young men and even women having great hair and going through a stressful event, they suddenly started to lose their hair, right? So we all are genetically predisposed in one way, but it doesn't mean that you need to lose your hair. So it depends on your environment. That's why you see people that live on an island having great hair. They're less affected by stress, and we're all kind of chronically stressed, especially here in New York, right?
So then Nutrafol came along with the help of you and your partner.
Yes.
And
some other doctor partners as well.
Right. So there are a lot of science and medical industry people, professionals got involved in the company, I guess, to like make sure that what the product you were creating was going to be effective and not have those crazy sexual libido side effects. I keep thinking it's like a nightmare replaying in my head right now since you said that.
Efficacy is non-negotiable, right? And we're big in science. We're a science company, and we always believed in order for us to change the hair health conversation, we need to really understand what is happening at root follicular level and dive deep into these root causes. And then once you understand the causes, how do you then address it with powerful ingredients that are healthy and very effective? So we brought doctors together, some scientists as well, to really help us understand and connect the dots from a scientific standpoint. And it took us about a year. We wrote a very comprehensive scientific white paper, and that's how we entered the physician space, the dermatology space. These are the experts, right? And it was important to us to get everybody on board and have them sign off and even in this case peer review our science in order to really change the conversation. So there's been this whole paradigm shift going on, which is something that we're incredibly proud of. So there's it's a multifactorial problem, and you have to address it in that way. It's not just one single trigger that leads to decrease in hair health.
Sure. There are a lot of hair care products on the market now and all these supplements coming out. How does Nutrafol stand out from all of those? I mean, what puts you guys ahead of the others? Yes, I did that on purpose. Pun intended.
Well, just a few things. I think just the science and the understanding, the new approach. Okay. So it is addressing the root causes. Right. And recently we launched a few other additional booster products as well to help with a system-wide approach. It's a different, that's new research how, for example, your microbiome, your liver, your thyroid hormone, and everything actually is really playing a role with healthy hair growth. So it's the follicle is not operating by itself, right?
Sure.
It's about bringing your body back to homeostasis, which is a state of balance. And then how do we optimize the body in order for hair to be able to thrive again? So
they say everything in the body is reversible. The body is a magical thing, and if we do the right thing to it and for it, you can make things go in reverse. There was a time, several years ago, when they said, "All right, you're going bald. That's it. It's irreversible."
Not true. Accept the inevitable, right? Yeah. But to answer your question, it's really the science, the approach, the nutraceutical ingredients that are patented, and most importantly, our doctor support across the nation. Obviously,
you're a growing company, and congratulations on that. How many people do you employ, by the way?
About 80, 85 now.
Right on, and growing every day.
Every day it is.
What do you see Nutrafol, the company, going in within the next few years? Like, what's next for you guys?
Well, what's important to us as a company is to continue to change that conversation and be at the forefront of something that was never really as discussable as it should be. For example, just to give you an example, we launched a ad years ago in a well-known magazine, Take Control of Hair Loss for Women, and they actually advised us to take it down because it wasn't sexy enough, right? It was a bit taboo to talk about hair loss in women. And the reality is that...
Why? What were people so afraid of?
Right. It's like, it's not it shouldn't be an embarrassing conversation. 40 million women alone are suffering at some stage in their lives from hair loss or hair thinning. And I think it needs to be a healthy, beautiful conversation. It shouldn't be embarrassing. And for men, the same, right? So continue to change the conversation and make it much more positive rather than fear-driven and embarrassing is incredibly important to us. And really empowering people with the right information for them to be able to just make healthier and smarter choices for their health and hair, of course.
Oh, absolutely. I could tell that you guys have some stuff in the works. Deep in your laboratories, you have some new products, new ideas coming out. Is there something that you could share with us or even tease? I mean, we don't want to blow any secrets or anything here, right, on CEO Unplugged. But it would be nice to give us a little insight as to what's happening in the future with on the product side of things.
For us, it's so as a company and as people, we believe in focus, and we are hair experts, and we are now at the forefront, and we are a thought leader in this industry. And so we're going to continue to focus on hair. There's still a lot of research that we continue to do, and we want to stay at the forefront of that. So there's very interesting research in terms of the microbiome and how that plays a role with hair regrowth and the disruption of the hair growth cycle and how that can trigger a genetic predisposition. There's so much new science and research that we continue to do that we're very excited to share with the public.
Good.
Fairly
soon, but not now.
Yeah.
Not here on camera.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting because it provides hope, but we remain hyper focused in what we're very good at. And I'm not a believer in jumping into different categories because I think companies that do that can lose credibility.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're such a genuine person, and you seem so, to me, it's very real and down to earth, and it's true. This is not an act. But you also seem delighted or happy about what makes you happiest about, and what gives you the most satisfaction about what you do and what you've done so far and accomplished for this industry?
It's a good question.
It's a little deep. It's a deep thought question.
No, I love deep. That's how I think seeing people grow in general. I know it sounds a little cheeky, but it's even our mantra from our company is keep growing as people. How do you grow spiritually, mentally, physically, whatever that means to you, right? And whether it's seeing people grow within the company, seeing others grow and being empowered with all this new science and new research and information for them to feel better about their choices and making better and healthier choices for themselves, that is something that absolutely keeps me going. And then seeing the result of that, right? At the end of the day, you want to, as a company, add value to people's lives, right? If you're not adding value to people's lives, I think you need to be critical and revisit your mission or revisit your entire strategy. So, and we see it. We see it every day. We see how happy people are with our products. And everything that we offer, including the services that we're offering, the doctor support across the board. So we're not just selling product, it's a whole service that we're offering to people because it's a journey, right? Sure. And it's not always an easy journey. So that is to us very important. And being able to witness, I feel grateful and incredibly blessed. That's what keeps us going.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I guess a couple more questions I have for you are, why is it important to educate the public about hair loss and about the mistruths or the rumors, like the one that I grew up with? Like, why is it important for education for everybody?
Well, the beauty is that consumers becoming so much more savvy, right? And you seeing that shift in the industry. You can't just sell product anymore to people. People are diving in deep, especially in this category, and education is just a very big part of that. Yeah, right. People goes back to adding value. Right? Yeah. Are you just selling a product, or are you going to educate somebody and empower them with that information that's important to them? And that is very cool because it just gives people control. Yeah, right. It allows them to take control of their own situation. So education is a very big component to everything that we do because people need to understand why they're doing it and how they're doing it and how it's going to help them. So it's something that's very big in our company, and we truly believe in that educational component because that's exactly what's missing. There's so many misconceptions out there, right? You Google hair loss, hair regrowth, you're going to see thousands of products. Yeah,
and everybody's like in your face trying to sell you something. Exactly. You guys are saying, well, wait a second, let's take a step back.
Yes,
and
absolutely
talk about the education behind it. That's very thoughtful of you. It's very very nice. It's like a public service almost.
It's being different. It's something that I, as a consumer, would appreciate.
Cool.
Right? It is, you type in hair loss and you're looking at all these hair vitamins and biotin, and hopefully it's going to change your life in the world. It's like too many misconceptions out there. It's a wild west out there, when you're trying to seek for solutions. And that's why there needs to be a thought leader that is taking the lead on providing with the newest, best information in order to help people. And that's what we do.
Fantastic. Anything else you want to let everybody know while we're here? Well, actually, first of all, how do they get in touch with you guys? Like, how do people find out more about Nutrafol? And give us a little website.
So that's that's a good question. So Nutrafol.com is our main website. We have fantastic dermatology and plastic surgery partners where people can find the product as well. They're great experts. It's partners that we trust, and they can always provide you with the best service. Sometimes it goes beyond what we sell at our company, right? Beyond supplementation and nutraceuticals. So I would always advise people to do your research, educate yourself, and feel free to contact us as a company or some of our doctor partners, because we know and we trust that you're gonna be helped the best way we can, and that's what we stand for.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Giorgos. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've learned a lot more, and even though it might not look like I'm a candidate, I have some of the supplies.
Good.
And I'm about to start taking it.
Stick with it.
Preventative.
Be consistent.
Yeah.
And include it into your beautiful daily habits.
You're never too young, or you can never have full enough hair to start with taking some supplements like you guys have at Nutrafol. Thank you so much. And thanks for being on CEO Unplugged.
Thank you so much.